All right, that's it. We're live. Um, yeah, well, welcome everyone to a special Friday night webinar with Platform Sports and the famous Jack Salt. Welcome, mate. Thanks for joining me.
Good to be here, man.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I wanted to, I think everyone, since you joined the platform team, wants to get to know you a little bit more, wants to kind of understand, where you've come from and kind of, your story and on how you got to probably the pinnacle of college sports. I'd say it's what's one of, winning a national championship for basketball at, a big time school like University of Virginia. For everyone that's joining, we'll kind of ease our way into it to give people a bit of time to join. I see there's a few people joining, but I think this will also be recorded as well, and I'll send it out to everyone so that's registered so they can have a copy of it. But yeah, man, just to kick it off, I think the question I've got: how does someone from New Zealand, the North Shore, my rival high school, Westlake High School, end up, playing in front of 70,000 people in a national championship? Tell me a little bit of your story from where you started, how you got to where you are. Just give us a bit of a timeline.
Yeah, I have no idea how it happened. No, I mean it was a lot of really cool people along the journey that helped me to get to Virginia. And yeah, as you mentioned, Westlake Boys High School. We actually recently beat Rosmin in a rugby game. Thanks for reminding me about that one, Will. You were following it, so thanks for the update on your end. But no, man, so very fortunate growing up in New Zealand. Westlake Boys High School, very strong basketball program like Tom Abercrombie, Corey Webster. I was fortunate enough to play with guys like Ty Webster, Rob Lowe came through the programs. Just a lot of great, Jared Kenny, a lot of high level basketball players. So for me, when I was at Westlake, I was never that good. I was kind of undersized, but I always just work hard and had a good time. So throughout my time at Westlake, I kind of continued to develop with some really good coaches and players. And very fortunately, when I was 17, I was selected for the Tall Blacks and also a development player for the Breakers. So those two really kind of opened up the network to a lot of schools, and
Yeah.
very fortunate. Again, there was a guy, Kirk Penny, who's arguably the greatest New Zealand basketball player of all time. I had a chat with him, a coffee chat, and his best friend was a guy called Tony Bennett, who was the head coach of Virginia. So it's kind of you never know kind of how relationships with people are going to go. And we kind of met randomly at a coffee shop, and my mum was like, Jack, that's Kirk Penny, go say hi. And I was like, Mum, don't be weird. But mum went and said hi to him. And then it ends up, I have a chat with him a few years down the line, and he's helping me get over to Virginia. So that kind of Kirk Penny connection was really big in getting me over there. And then, yeah, man, that my 5 year journey at Virginia was a lot of ups and downs, definitely more ups than downs. But to finish with a national championship, playing in front of 70,000 people, was a pretty surreal experience for a kid from Westlake.
Yeah, man. We'll definitely talk a bit more about Virginia, but I guess when did you realize that, hey, playing at college in the States is on the cards for me? At what point, when you're at high school, did you kind of have that light bulb moment, or was it always just something you wanted to do?
Yeah, honestly, man, it was pretty late, and I kind of got lucky in a way because I failed maths in my year 12 year, and I actually almost failed it again in my year 13 year. So, yeah, that was really a rough point. But if I would have probably known earlier, I maybe would have locked in a little bit more of my studies.
Yeah,
I was all academic team when I got to Virginia, but at Westlake, I just struggled a little bit. I missed a lot of time off school. But yeah, I think for me, honestly, man, like it would have been maybe my sixth form year. I was like, oh wow, like I can probably sixth form. I'm showing my age. I don't know if they say that. Year 12 year.
yeah,
Year 12. I was like, oh, at the start of the year, I was like, you know what? I'm playing for the Prems team. I'm pretty tall. I'm playing on a few good teams. I probably could go to college. And then by the end of the year, I was tournament team at nationals. I'm like, okay, cool. I should. I definitely can go to college. It's a possibility. So for me, it did happen really late. But looking back, I mean, I'm grateful how everything wound up, and that I did end up passing maths my year 13 year, because that would have been rough. But yeah, it happened for me pretty late, Will.
Yeah, and it's a key part, that academic piece. It's something that not a lot of athletes, especially, realize going through high school from kind of our side of the Pacific. Is you actually really need to have that academic component
Mm.
to make it affordable and to get you into the schools that you want to get into as well. But yeah, tell me, kind of, if you could go back, when do you think is the right time to really commit? If you want to go to college, if it's on your kind of whiteboard at home, when do you think is the right time if you could go back and kind of change that? Would you rather started in year 9 and focused a little bit more on your studies? Would you, in hindsight?
Yeah, in hindsight, definitely, because it's definitely kind of a stroke of luck that I got 6% over the minimum threshold. It's actually really embarrassing because at Cambridge, you just need to get above 40% to pass. I
Yeah,
retook the class, I got like 46% the next year. So I'm like, God, damn, that's rough. So yeah, looking back, it would have been good to have some more time
yeah,
to make sure I passed math by a significant amount. But no, man, I mean, it's if I would have known, I'm grateful for how my journey went. Like I wouldn't change anything. But in hindsight, like having some more time to prepare and to be able to work with a team like Platform Sports Management, where they do kind of track your grades and make sure you're on the right path, as opposed to kind of that last year, like, yo, if I don't get these grades, I'm screwed. So
yeah,
luckily I wasn't, and I got to go to Virginia, and all these good things happen. But yeah, if you have like a kind of a thought, or you're feeling that college would be a good place for you, I think the earlier you can get on it, and like we've had many conversations, it's not, you don't guarantee a scholarship by working towards it, but you put yourself in the best possible position.
yeah, absolutely. And I was the same, man. Like probably I started a little bit too late as well, and maybe
Mm.
took it a bit too easy going through
Mm.
those years. I was doing NCAA, so I was
Yeah.
cruising through, getting achieves.
Yeah.
Knew that I would get university entrance, and then
Mm.
when it came to scholarship time, and the my official offer got sent through, I realized that I was actually a couple grade points off getting an extra $5,000 in academic aid, which would have been massive for me. So
Oh wow.
that's a story I often tell my athletes going through. Is It's just so important. It might seem tedious,
Yeah.
but especially with a course like NCEA, where you've got those internals that you can do throughout the year. It's not all exam based. You can really focus on like just crushing it, crushing your
Yeah.
internals, putting that little bit of extra time in. When the boys are all jumping on Fortnite, I'm actually going to spend a bit more time,
Mm.
doing my studies, and it will work tenfold.
Mm.
Um, but coming back to kind of the basketball side of things, so Virginia is obviously a top program. Not everyone is gonna be able to go to a program like Virginia. It's so
Mm.
competitive, especially in the States with a sport like basketball. But from your experience and through your knowledge of both being a coach and playing at the highest level, what are some of the biggest things that coaches look for, besides size? Obviously, is a massive one. All the basketball coaches we talk to, they all want size and athleticism. But what are some of those like intangibles that really could make you stand out compared to some of the American recruits?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously size, like as you go up in levels, like even when I was in America, different conference, some guys are just massive and really athletic and not super high IQ. And then you go to other conference and it's maybe guys a little bit smaller. But something that's really important, no matter what level you're playing at, is being coachable. And it sounds corny. Kids, you hear it all the time when you're at training. But if you're not able to be coachable, and if you've been the top, like this happens to a lot of guys that are kind of small fish, big pond. If you're used to being the top dog in your team and you get to America, unless you're, I'm trying to think if there's been a recruit, unless you're Ben Simmons going over to LSU as projected number 1 draft pick, you're probably not going to be a big fish when you get over there. I hope, hey, I hope there's a kid out there that's going to be them. But if it's not, like being able to be coachable, being able to lock on in your routine. So when you do get over to America, like you've got a lot going on. So if you're not able to establish some kind of routine, it's going to be challenging for you. But the good thing about going to America is you're going into a position where a lot of young athletes have been in your position. You've got the guidance around you, so you're not just thrown in the deep end by yourself. But being coachable, establishing a routine, And just being a good teammate. Being a good teammate, I found was really important for me, and that allowed me to get opportunities because my skill level wasn't like elite. I was just big and worked hard. And I got to America, and that was kind of what I hung my hat on. I screened, I rebounded, I dove on loose balls, and those are the things that maybe didn't show up on the stat sheet, but it allowed me to get a pretty decent role with my school for the majority of the time I was at
Yeah.
Virginia.
You got up against Zion Williamson as well, didn't you? I think
Yeah,
I've seen
that was one guy that did dominate. No,
the
no, Zion is yeah. I've got and even for me, man, being able to come from New Zealand, play against Zion, like Jason Tatum, like Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Brunson, all these guys that are in the NBA right now. I just sit and watch my friends. I mean, I used to cook those guys. No, I didn't. They cooked me. But no, it's pretty special, man. Like to be in America and have had the experience to go up against all those guys and also play with some like
yeah.
guys that are not only great players now in the all leagues around the world, but like my good friends. So that's something that I really value. Not just the obviously the networking sporting side of it is great, but just the relationships you build is really important.
Yeah, because you got what, two boys playing on the Cavs now, don't you? Two of your Virginia alum.
Yeah, yeah. So Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter, great guys. So we were at Virginia together for 3 years. The year we won the national championship, Ty got drafted, DeAndre got drafted, and Kyle Guy all got drafted. I didn't get drafted, unfortunately, which I was shocked. No, I wasn't, but I did get to go to summer league, which was cool. But no, Ty and DeAndre playing together for Cleveland. The Pacers knocked him out, which I was pretty surprised about, but they're just pretty hot right now. So
Yeah, and I guess you kind of like hinted at it a couple times, that big fish or playing with these amazing guys. Did you ever suffer from like an imposter syndrome or like why am I here? And like I guess how did you overcome that if you did kind of face that feeling of being such a small fish in a massive pond?
yeah, every day, man. I mean, I think imposter syndrome is normal. If you don't have imposter syndrome, I mean, some people have this unbreakable confidence in themselves. No matter where they go, they're the man. That's not me. I don't have that. I rock up to a training session. I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here. This guy's dunking between his legs and he's not even warm. This guy shoots just made like 53 pointers in a row and he's a big man. I'm like, I can barely shoot free throws. What am I doing here? So yeah, that imposter syndrome is very real. But what kind of the biggest thing you can do is just be where your feet are and be present every day at practice. And for me, I was able to be around some of the best strength and conditioning, one of the best strength and conditioning coaches, honestly, in America. He was amazing. I was being coached by amazing coaches and I was with amazing players. So if I've got all these like this level of training and I'm here, it's going to be hard to me to go down if I invest in what I'm doing and like take the advice on board and really put the work in. So I didn't get to all these guys I play with my position, Jay Huff. I didn't get to that level, but I still got pretty high and was able to have a nice little
Yeah,
career after college.
'cause you gave it a run in the summer league too, didn't you? Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. That was so it was fortunate to play in with the Phoenix Suns and just an amazing experience for me to get that opportunity after college. If you would have told me going to college, you're going to get a summer league opportunity, you're going to get a pro contract in Europe, I'm like, wow, that sounds amazing to me. And I was fortunate to get both of those. But yeah, playing in Vegas, with all the like the guys that are coming through the next wave and to play kind of in that atmosphere was unreal, man. So I'm very grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess you also mentioned being at Virginia. You did your full 4 years there. You did the highs. You had the highs. You had the lows. Can you elaborate a little bit more about what those low points were? Because a lot of people kind of look at your career and they go, "Wow, like you crushed it. It was amazing. You must have had the best time ever." But all of us know. I know the whole team. We always talk about it. Sammy, Mac, Josh. All of us who went to college. Like there are some tough times. It's not all sunshines and rainbows. Kind of tell us a little bit about kind of your struggles and where how you felt that how you found that kind of that strength to push through them because there's a lot of kids that will be watching this that aren't prepared for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you're definitely like no matter what situation you're in, you're going to experience struggles, and to experience struggles, I mean, for me, it was playing at a really like high pressure program, and it was televised, and everyone was talking about it. So every time you had a bad game, you knew everyone saw it. So as a young athlete, I did put a lot of pressure on myself, and there were times that I really struggled. I mean, even for me, like going into my senior night. So, senior night, for those who don't know, it's where they honor your jersey. Usually, sometimes your family comes out to the game. So, my senior night, I'd spent the last 7 games, I hadn't made a field goal in the games I played. And I wasn't a high scorer, but I'd usually score a couple buckets here and there, maybe a few dunks. And leading up to that game, I had not scored a field goal. So, it was really kind of to put the ego on the side and kind of really every game I was in. So, hey, just forget about that, do what you do. And my team was achieving great success. So it's like, how can I sulk when I'm still playing minutes? If I kind of don't do the things that I'm good at, yeah, I'm not an elite scorer, but I can defend, rebound, do all these other things. I don't want to let my team down. So, kind of when you're in those moments of kind of doubting yourself, for me, I had a really good support network. And the good thing about technology is FaceTime makes it really easy to stay in touch with family. But yeah, man, just having a good routine, having good people around me, and like platform sports, being able to reach out to someone like who's on the ground in your home, like in Australia and New Zealand, is definitely going to be a benefit.
Yeah, having someone that's been through it as well is massive, and I
Yeah,
guess like you go back to your mentors like Kirk,
yeah,
someone that you could talk to that's been in your shoes and done
mm.
it. Um, but how did how did you balance the study side of things? Because you're at a big time Division 1 program. You're on the road a fair bit. We've had conversations. You spent a fair bit of time on the road and out of school. How did you still manage to get a bachelor's degree? Like how did you balance it?
Yeah, so it's you like I said, man, you definitely need to create some kind of routine. And when you first get to Virginia, there's mandatory study hall on the road. So until you've proved that you can get the grades without having this hour on the road, we have to sit down in a room with the academic advisor. Then you get the freedom to do what you want. So it's kind of an accomplishment to not be called to study hall because that means you're doing well. If you're a fifth year senior in study hall, there's some stuff going on. You're really struggling. But yeah, man. So study hall, like initially, was kind of helped us kind of ingrain that pattern. But I was fortunate. I didn't do so well at maths, but I was good at other things. So I kind of did have a decent study routine down. So just finding those routines, great communication with your professors. You've got some professors like in my case, that really wanted basketball to do well, and they're like, "Oh, we'll give you this extension." And some were like, "Oh, you've got the Final Four on Monday. Get it done Sunday night, or you're failing the class."
Yeah,
And that wasn't the majority of professors, but there was some like that. Maybe they're just not a sporting person, more on the academic side, which is fine. But you have to kind of figure out those kind of professors and still get the stuff done. So it
did you
was, yeah.
did you notice your grades get a bump up when you guys won?
Yeah, I didn't go to class at all. I was just was A's and everything. No, man, it was definitely a pretty cool feeling. It was kind of a weird feeling to like have finished that such a high point and then just sit in class like exhausted. I'm like, yo, what is going on right now? But hey, student athlete life, man. Student comes first.
It's tough, bro. It's so tough. But it's what we tell everyone is like really utilizing the resources that you get access to.
Yeah,
They give you every single possible. We say, me and the boys always say, you have to try to fail. You
yeah,
know, if you're failing, like you're really trying to fail because you have academic advisors that can map out your study schedule. You have all the tutoring that you could possibly want. So just tapping into all of that sort of stuff. But Going pulling it right back, how how important is the highlight footage for an international basketball player?
yeah. No, it's definitely important, man, because a lot of the Americans coaches will be able to get out to go watch their games live in person. So you need to figure out to create a highlight reel that shows you and shows not just you making layups and threes. They want to see full game. They want to see you sprinting back on defense. They want to see how you react when there's a foul not caught on you. Are you just standing like with your hands up in the air complaining? Because it's like to make a highlight reel where it's all highlights, so yeah, that's great. But coaches aren't going to recruit somebody if all it is highlights. So that to have a good highlight tape that shows all your strengths, and also like if you're filming yourself and when you're seeing it, if a coach tells you got bad effort and you're like, that coach doesn't know what he's talking about. He's 50 years old. He hasn't played in 30 years. I know what I'm doing. I'm the man. But then you look on film and your hands are on your knees, you're walking back. It's like, damn, okay, maybe coach is like a little bit right. And you'll realize like as you get higher and higher levels, most people are really trying to help you out. So if you've got multiple coaches saying, hey, you need to pick it up. And then you see it in the film, that's going to better your game as well.
Yeah. I remember it was crazy because the way that I look at a basketball highlight tape and the way that you do completely different. And that's why at Platform we're so privileged to have you on board with the team, because I just remember we were chatting with a recruit probably a month ago now, and the way that you broke down his tape, and you caught out those little things. And I remember we spoke to the athlete about it, and the athlete didn't even know that he was doing it. It's those little intangibles that we keep talking about that really can make you stand out, and it's so important, and especially in a sport like basketball. It's not like, because it's such an American dominated sport. Why would a coach take you over someone they can go 5 minutes down the road and they're doing windmill dunks in high school? Why should
Yeah,
they take some guy from New Zealand or Australia that hasn't played at that level? So it's
yeah,
those little things that will translate to the college game is kind of what I'm feeling.
yeah.
Um,
And I will say on that, bro, like definitely, like 100%, you're really right. But American coaches like New Zealand and Australian athletes. They like,
was that?
uh, I'm not going to say Americans are soft because not all of them are, but there's something about New Zealand and Australian athletes, kids that are just tough. And
Mm,
I've heard it from Coach Bennett. I just think I don't know what it is. Actually, I think like a lot of actually, I might actually. I think a lot of the younger kids play against older men at times in different leagues, and in America, you just play within your age group. So it's just AAU ball, and honestly, the level of basketball isn't great for AAU. Yeah, you've got guys that can 360 windmill, and you see the clips of Zion. You see the clips of Zion going against like five, like 5'3", 5'3" guys players. I'm like,
yeah,
yo, and it's like, yeah, that's not every game, but sometimes that's the kind of games that these kids
yeah,
play. And then you've got like my journey growing up, I was playing in the NBL, so I was going against like Casey Frank, Mika Vakona, and they were just bullying me. I'm like, wow, and I was like, yeah, I'm having a great time, but it enabled me to kind of have that kind of toughness in my game playing against men, and I'm sure. Like if you're in Australia, maybe you're playing NBL one, maybe there's different like men's leagues that you
mm,
play in. So I think that toughness you have as a Kiwi and a Aussie definitely helps you over there.
yeah. And in all honesty, that translates to every sport.
Mm.
We really push, like, even our soccer players, like, you should be pushing to play men's football.
Yeah, yeah,
Because it's, and going back to kind of the New Zealand athletes, it's funny. I did a podcast years ago with our mutual friend Cruz, who I went to school with
yeah.
at
It was
Rosmini, and
awesome.
he
Yeah,
was saying that something that stood out for him, or like that, he really pushed, was this aggression on defense.
yeah.
He just was a dog on defense, and a lot of the
Mm.
Americans are more, I guess, offensively focused. Is that a true kind of statement?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you look at all like social media now. It's all the flashy like step back threes, and it's all the dunking on people. Oh, but hey, like if you're going to be a hard defender, like there's a West Virginia coach. I think his name Bob Huggins. He recruited a guy. I think it was Javon Carter, and he just said he went to a game at 8 a.m. and he was full court pressuring the whole game. This was on court 26 of a Las Vegas. I'm making this up, but it was like on a court that wasn't very popular. So how you can stand out as a New Zealand and a Kiwi, and as Cruz did, and as I tried to do at Virginia, is defend super hard every position because not many people are going to do that, and that's going to separate you. So if you've got that in your film, if you've got a whole game of you defending super hard, picking up full court if you're a guard, if you're a big, you're diving on loose balls, you're boxing out every time you're getting vertical, that's going to set you apart.
Yeah,
So definitely, yeah. And I played against Cruz when he was probably I think like 7 years old or 8 years old. It's crazy. So to see him have his journey that he's on now is really really special.
yeah, yeah. Or even if you're a Kiwi, setting big picks like Stephen Adams.
Yeah, well, I tried to set picks like him, but I didn't get the hype that he has. But he's
Mate,
a legend, man. He's done so much for the game, like New Zealand basketball, how he's represented New Zealand over there. He actually sent me a message when I committed to Virginia, which is really nice of him. And he's
awesome.
an all around great guy.
Yeah, yeah. His highlight tape's crazy. It's just him setting screens and just putting people on the floor.
Yeah,
Um,
it's awesome.
but tell me, man, like obviously you went college to the pros. What's your kind of advice for athletes that are maybe sitting here going, I'm good enough to just go straight into the NBL, or I'm good enough to maybe get a European contract. What would be your advice to them about going to college or going straight into the pros? Do you have anything to say on that? Because it's quite a
Yeah,
debate.
for sure. Yeah, 100%, man. I think the most important thing is knowing yourself. So at the end of the day, if you love being around home, like family is everything for you. Like I've had some kids that go over and they just really struggle no matter where they are.
Yeah,
But I will say to those kids that I was a really big home bunny and I like didn't like to spend much time away from home. I got to America around this exciting space. I'm with kids my age that are all kind of left home. It's all exciting. We're all going through the same kind of life transition together. It's so often I feel like athletes forget about the life side of the college experience. They just think about, oh, X's and O's. If I go to this school, I'll be able to go to maybe this professional team, but it's more than just 4 or 5 years of your life. It's an experience and it's a
mm,
life experience. And I know you can speak to this. Like
100%.
when you're over in America, there's so much fun stuff going on. It's such a kind of exciting time in your life, 18 to 23. And when you've got everyone on that same journey with you, and you've got your athletes that you're working out with every day, because pro life is great, but it's different. People got their families. As much as I love being a pro, you're not hanging out till midnight playing games in the locker room, and then you're getting meals with each other. Then you're working out, doing all these things. It's just different when you go pro life. So I
Yeah,
think there's benefits for both. I used to say, oh, you can get paid playing pro, you can't get paid playing college, but now you get paid playing college. So I mean
that's changed,
that
man.
argument's out the window.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's a lot of hype around the NIL space, man, especially for a sport like basketball where there's a lot of money floating around. But how did your time at Virginia kind of help shape you as a person beyond basketball? Like taking basketball out of it, how did it help shape you as a person?
Yeah, it did a lot, man. Tony Bennett was the coach of Virginia, and the amount of amazing individuals that were made up the Virginia Cavaliers. I mean, I would love to name a lot, but just the whole group of those people at Virginia and the values that like they didn't just talk about the values. I feel like talk wasn't that important. It was all action.
Mm,
And when you're in an environment where people are thriving to be the best versions of themselves, everyone's working towards a common goal of reaching the highest success uh, of a team. It's just inspiring to be around. And for me, like we had 5 pillars at Virginia, and those pillars were, I mean, I'm not a religious person, but they were based in religion, but they're just great. They were great principles to live by. And for me, being at Virginia for 5 years, being around so many great individuals, so many great teams, and I've been back to Virginia at the start of this year. I'm going back at the end of this year. So Virginia is more than just.
yeah.
It's not just 4 years of my 5 years of my life gone. Like it's the relationships with those people are very, very important to me. And
And
I
and
know
you're going
I
next year
wouldn't.
as well for the lacrosse national champs, right? You,
Yeah, PSM. Yeah, so
yeah,
PSM. Yeah, is that letting me know that I'm going on tour with you?
yeah, lacrosse natty champs, man. It'll be next May, won't it? Yeah. Well, you can get me backstage, right,
Hey, if you get the tickets, I'll get you. I'll get you. You get me tickets to Charlottesville. I'll get you tickets to the game.
mate? Deal, done deal. Um, but now I guess we've kind of been chatting shop for a while. Let's get into the stuff that everyone wants to know. How do you get recruited, right? I think how kind of the model we've set up at Platform Sports works. We've placed a lot of kids over the last 10 years, and to break it into phases, that first phase as a recruiter, and this is what me and you are doing a lot of, is actually getting to know the athlete. Before they even commit to this process, is getting to understand who you are as a player, as a student, and as a person as well. Because those three things, encompass who you are as a student athlete. And when we're going to get on the phone and vouch for you to a college coach, we need to know those things. So that's phase one, is that onboarding. The second phase is that building phase, and actually, building out an academic plan. Like, if you would have had this back in the day, building out that academic plan on, hey, these are the subjects that you need to take. These are the courses that you need to hit to make sure you're NCAA eligible. Then also the athletic planning. What teams are you playing in? What camps are you going to? What kind of showcase events are you doing to put yourself on the map? And then also, what are those extracurricular things that can help you be an all-rounded individual? So we build that plan with you guys, and I know this is the part of recruitment that you love to do with student athletes, is actually shaping them into those elite caliber people. So then once you shift from there, it's all about networking, and that's where we step in, tap into our networks that we've built, and market your abilities to college coaches. Then after that, it's actually you got to market yourself, which I'll get you to kind of tune in a little bit here. How were your first meetings? Because you would have spoken to a couple of different schools, right? How were those conversations as a 16, 17-year-old talking to big time college coach in America? How did you feel about that, and like how did you navigate that?
Yeah, no, it was definitely an interesting kind of space to be in because it was at the time it was my senior year at Westlake and I was tall blacks breakers, so everything was going on all at once and it was really a whirlwind. But I was speaking to these coaches, like, oh, this coach is from San Francisco, this coach is from Boise State. I don't even know where Boise State is, but I'm speaking to the coach and he's
Yeah.
coming to watch me train at Westlake. So yeah, it was definitely kind of a wild time. But just on your point about recruiting, I was very lucky. I kind of hit the scene late, but I played at really high level teams. And a reason why I've partnered with you, I want to be a part of Platform Sports Management, is because you go about helping these kids the right way and you get them the exposure. Because I have so many kids that I coach come and ask me, Jack, how do I get over there? And I'm like, oh, be 6'10" and play for the Tall Blacks when you're 17. That's terrible advice. That's not. A very small percent of kids can do that, and I don't mean that to pump myself up, but just being honest about it. So the way how we do it here, by talking to the kids, getting to know them, kind of guiding them along the journey. Because at the end of the day, I mean, what's the Ferrari analogy? Like you've got the Ferrari. What is it? You're gonna say
Yeah,
it better than
yeah.
me.
I love that you brought that up, man. Our director hates it, but
Really?
I've coined my phrase, and it's we'll give you the Ferrari, but you got the keys to it.
Yeah, there we go. That's the
But
one. Wow. I don't know how I forgot it. It's pretty simple. I guess I'm a little bit of an idiot, but no, man. I think it's so like having people that have done it before, and you've done it with like Platform Spawns have done it with hundreds, maybe thousands of kids at this point. Like you guys know kind of the steps to take and what kind of it looks like. So yeah, man, to be able to have someone in your corner that's seen it can kind of help you along those steps, making sure the grades are sorted, making sure like it's because like we've had chats with kids before, and their parents like, look, they want them to play for 18 gold, uh, bronze, whatever, all these random team names, and the parents like, what do I do?
yeah,
So it's just great having kind of resources of. For you, obviously, your specialty, you've got a lot of sports you specialize in. For me, it's strictly basketball. But having the experience that PSM has is just super helpful for all
yeah.
these athletes.
And it's even like, what questions should you ask coaches when you're talking to them on a college interview?
Yeah,
Um, simple things like that, which are really going to help. And doing that research into the program before you talk to the college
yeah,
coach is massive.
yeah. Mm,
Hey coach, I saw that you guys had an amazing season last year, went 17-2, awesome
mm,
job. What's the goals for this year? Like, asking that simple question is going to mean so much to
yeah,
that coach, because they've gone, oh,
mm,
Jack's done his research. He knows what he's doing here. He's invested in me. I'm going to give him, a bit of my time back, and I'm going to really
yeah,
invest into Jack. So now those sorts of skills is definitely kind of what makes platform sports athletes stand out,
mm,
and I love it because more often than not, and I know Mac, who's watching this at the moment, when our athletes get off calls with college coaches, the feedback we get from the coaches is always great.
mm,
That's a very well spoken student athlete, which we love to hear because it means we're doing the
mm,
right things. Um,
yeah,
But then once you talk to a bunch of college coaches, comes the crunch part, which is actually picking what school you want to go to, right? And we've had lengthy discussions about, why you chose Virginia and the best fit for a student athlete, and every single one of them is different.
Mm,
Every single student athlete's different, but the keys to break it down into is what academics, what you want to study. Does that school have what you want to study? And, do they offer a good program? Second, the sport. Sport always comes second. Do you get on with the coach? Do you get on with the team? Is the style that they play suit who you are as an athlete? That can apply
mm,
to any sport. Locations massive. Are you stuck up in the tumbleweeds somewhere? Or are you in New York City, in Manhattan? Like there's so
mm,
many different locations. So finding one that suits you, and then the cost pillar as well, because the simple reality, and it's why at Platform we're super transparent, is not every kid's going to be on a full scholarship. That's just not the
mm,
case, and it's actually quite rare to get a full scholarship. So, for us, being transparent around what those costs should be is huge. And from a parent looking at it, through a lens of where's my child going to get the best return on my investment. This school might be a lot cheaper, but the school doesn't have the facilities or the
mm.
coach or something like that. So is it worth paying that little bit more to get that much better experience? There's
Yeah,
all these different factors that we've got to take into account when deciding on a program. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's in the athlete's hands on what school they want to go to.
yeah, for
Um,
sure, bro. I'm just gonna run to the bathroom real quick. I'm gonna put it on mute so you can't hear me. I should be about 40 seconds, right?
you're all good, bro. You're all good.
Make sure I mute it. Just give me
Yeah,
a thumbs up to make sure I'm muted. Muted? Click.
funnily enough, he actually muted me. That's funny. But yeah, nah, and that best fit is super important. If I relate it back to my college experience, being close to a big city was huge for me. I wanted to be able to go to an NBA game, NFL game, go and experience that real city sports life, which I love. So no, it's super super exciting to have Jack part of the team, and moving forward with all of our basketballers, he's going to be a massive part of all of their recruitment journeys, and really going to help out in that respect. But yeah, I guess we can kind of cut this bit out when we put this on YouTube, which we will be doing. Um, but yeah, I guess that covers a lot of it. I've got one more big one more big question to ask Jack. He's back. I will unmute him. Um, yeah, you actually
I
ended up
muted
muting
you. I'm
me.
a fucking, I'm an idiot. I heard that. That's why I was in the bathroom.
No, you're all good, man. We're close to wrapping this up. We're at what 40 minutes, and
As I thought I could hold it, bro. But I'm like, I don't think I can. Gotta go.
oh man, when you gotta go, you gotta go. Um, I got one last big question for you, man, just to kind of wrap this up, and I think it's something that's really important. But what's the most powerful piece of advice you've ever gotten? It could be multiple, but what's the one that stands out to you the most, which you could share with these young athletes that are going through this process?
Yeah, I think there's a guy that went to my high school, and he went through a lot of adversity in his life, and he's not a wasn't a basketball player. He was a football player, but he runs one of the most successful companies in New Zealand. He's around my age, but he has a quote: "Just stay in the fight." His name's Izzy Whitley. He's an amazing guy. But I think when you're going through the college process, like sometimes it's tough. Maybe you're reaching out to a bunch of colleges, you're putting in the hours at training. You're not making the teams you want to make. Um, Sometimes it's really hard. It's really challenging, and you're not getting all the results that you want to see. But if you don't stay in the fight, you never see those results. So just being when you're in that kind of tough moment, whether it's before you get to college and you're trying to send out all these tapes to schools, and if you're with Platform Sport, like they're doing all this stuff trying to help you out. Or if it's you're trying to really work hard to make your top high school team because that's going to look really good if you're playing for your top high school team, you're going to be more attractive to colleges. or if it's when you get to college, you get there and you don't play for the first season. I'm not just saying one game; it might be the first season. Um, so I think just stay in the fight when you're in those kind of moments. Just stay with your routine. Have your good support network, but just yeah, just stay in it. Because if you stay in it long enough, it's bound to get good eventually. So just encouraging people in those kind of tough situations, staying in it.
That's gold, mate. That's gold, and that's what separates you as a national champion, mate. Not many people can say that, and I know you're a humble lad and you don't like to pump it up, but
I'm
you
not
know,
that humble actually, bro. I got it right next to me. This is the ring, so
oh, mate, pull
so
it
yeah,
out. You got to
yeah,
bring that
man.
when we chop it
I'm
up
not
on a
humble at all,
podcast,
bro. I've got it. I was waiting for you to bring that up again, bro. This is the ring right here.
mate. You got to
Yeah,
bring that down next week when you come down for the podcast. I know
yeah,
Me and Josh are fizzing to do a potty with you, so you got to bring that down,
yeah. No,
and I got to try it on.
yeah, man, for sure, for sure. I didn't plan to bring that out, but I was literally sitting down and it's right next to me, so I thought I'd show that one.
No, mate, that's awesome. Well, thank you for spending your Friday night chatting to me. I know you've got a lot going on, but you know, it was some super valuable advice, and you know, you're an amazing resource for these young ballers all coming through, which I know is becoming more and more popular. More and more kids are playing it. More and more kids are wanting to go to college. So, you know, I know your DMs are always open to young athletes. Mine are too. If you just want any sort of advice around the college process, reach out to us, Platform Sports Management on Instagram. You know, I check the Instagram DMs and I will be able to reply to you, or message Jack. And you know he'll put you in touch with the platform team, and we'll get you over to the States. But look, thanks, mate. Appreciate it. And we'll see you soon down on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Look forward to it.
Easy.